Alright, welcome to Stay Tuned's Garage. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be replacing the clutch on my brand new used 96 Mustang GT. Alright, so I've actually already started working on the car. I don't know if you could tell from my intro, but I'm already dirty. Okay, so I already took off a couple of bolts holding up the mid pipe on the exhaust, and they're really hard to... Some of them are really hard to get to. The ones connecting it to the headers right here, these aren't that bad. The ones on the other side are really bad because that space is really congested because of the starter. Another problem you have is the starter is really difficult to get off. So it's mounted onto the engine like this, in this orientation here. And as you can tell, it has these three bolts total. These two bolts are pretty easy to get to. This one's really easy. You can just get in there with your ratchet and take it off. This one, you kind of have to maneuver around this little thing to get back there and take this one off, but it's not too bad. And this one is pain in the ass. It's so bad that when people do this job, or they replace the starter, or if they ever have to remove this starter, what they'll do is they'll just only put these two back and just leave that one off and never worry about it again. And to be honest, that's probably what I'm gonna do here today. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I did to get this off, so you can kind of get an idea of how to do it if you have to do it. Alright, so there's the hole the starter actually bolts into. This where the bottom bolt is, second one, and the really hard one is that one right there. Kind of out of focus, but there we go, get an idea. So what I use to get to these is just one, I think it's a 6-inch extension with a 13mm socket on it. A lot of people like to go through the front over here above the engine mount, or through the wheel well. But they use wobble extensions, and I do not own any wobble extensions, so that was obviously not something I could really do. And I'm actually doing this on Christmas Day, so no stores are open for me to go buy a wobble extension. So what I did is picture that the starter is in here. First of all, let me move my light over here. So this is the catalytic converter right here that's like taking up the whole screen. What I did is I got my hand around this way through the back of the transmission, and I felt for the bolt to see where it was. So I had one hand over here, right? And now we're gonna switch hands. So just picture I still have my hand over there. And then I came over here where, let me see, let me put the light in place. And then I came over here with my other hand in the extension setup, and I snaked it around the starter itself. And so then I'd use both hands to position the... Oh, did my light just turn off? Oh, my phone just died. Alright, that's great. So I put my hand over here, snaked it in, and got the what's it called? The socket and extension on the bolt itself. And then over here, you can't really see it. On the motor mount, there is like a small little heat shield type of metal. I bent that back towards the motor mount, and so it gave me just enough space to put my wrench on the extension, and then I was able to get that bolt out and get the starter out. Been a long time since I last recorded, and I think I'm even wearing different clothes. It's actually been 3 days that I've been working on this car, and a lot has gotten done, but in the amount of time that it should have been done, not much has been gotten done. So let me go ahead and show you guys. Alright, so in the 3 days that I've been working on this car, all I've been able to get out is the exhaust, drive shaft, and starter right there. You can kind of see it. And honestly, the hardest part to do of this job so far was these getting the exhaust off because these bolts were so tight on there, and that they're at such an angle that it was just really hard to get off. I actually have one of them. This one right here by itself took me 2 days, and they're not 2 full days. It's like last night I was only able to work on it for like 3-4 hours after work, and today I've only been working on it for like 3 hours. But the first day was a full day of trying to get this exhaust off, and these, like, as you can see, this bolt here got pretty messed up. That's the part that bolts onto the flange of the headers, and this is the nut that was supposed to come off, but it didn't. It got seized, and instead it came out this way and it broke off. The same thing with this one that I have here, and this one was the top one. No, it was the bottom one on this side. No, it was the top one. This one went here, and instead of the nut coming off, the whole stud came out. So that was mainly the biggest reason why I've taken so long in doing this job. The reason it took me so long is because I didn't have any power tools to do it with. I didn't have a proper impact. I also started this job Christmas Day, so I couldn't go out and buy any tools to do it. Also, like I said earlier, this was at a weird angle, and I didn't have any U-joints or universal joints to try and get a better angle at it. So it was just a combination of not having the proper tools, not being able to get the proper tools, and just having everything that could go wrong actually go wrong. But I got these two out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna on the flange, on the headers, I'm just gonna drill out what's left of these things, and I'm just gonna put a new bolt and nut on it, stainless steel or something. I'll find something to put on there to bolt it back up. When I do bolt it back up, for now I'm just gonna, don't worry about it. I took the drive shaft out. I just did that now after taking this off, and I took the starter out as well, and that was actually done the first day. So that was the only thing I was able to do in my first 10-hour day that I worked on this car. Okay, so we're under the car right now, and this that we are looking at right now is the differential, and that is where the those 4 bolts that are sticking out are where the, what's it called, the drive shaft bolted onto it. So what I did to take the drive shaft off is, let me see if I can get a better angle real quick, or not angle, but something that feels better for me. Okay, so what I did is, this is a 12 millimeter 12-point bolt. There's 4 of them, as you can see, and my wheels, my back wheels, are on the floor. So what I could do is I kept the car neutral, and as you can see, the jack is still here, but so I would keep it on the floor. I'd loosen the bottom 2, and then I'd jack up the car. Once I had these 2 loose, I'd jack the car up just to get the wheels off the floor. With the transmission in neutral, I was able to turn the U-joint, or not the U-joint, the drive shaft. I'd be able to turn it 180 degrees so that these 2 would be up here and these 2 would be down here, and then I could loosen these 2, and then I just lowered the car back down, unscrewed all the bolts, and then just pulled on the what's it called, the drive shaft just a tiny bit, and it'd drop out. And over on the transmission side, it slides right out, but you just got to be careful. It is going to leak fluid, and there are little stoppers that you can buy that will plug that hole so that in this whole job you don't drip any fluid. But I don't have one, and I'm probably going to lose a lot of fluid. Alright, so we are in the left side of the transmission now, and this is actually one of the bolts that got stuck in there, or that broke off, that I showed you earlier from the exhaust. There are 6, that's not 6, my other hand's holding the camera, but there's 6 main bolts you have to take off from the transmission. One's gonna be right here, 2, 3. There's one at the very top over here. As you can see, I already took them off. But one tip I wanted to give you guys to get this one out. These are 1/2-inch bolts. What I did is I just got a 1/2-inch wrench. Let me see, I probably have it somewhere around here. Where is it? Where is it? It's right here. Sorry, I have a mess of tools right now. So I got a 1/2-inch wrench, and I brought it up here, and I had just enough room to get it on the bolt up there. You can I can't really show you guys where it goes, but it's like where this is my middle finger. It's where my other finger is right now. It's really hard to show because the camera doesn't fit in tight spaces, but it's up here. You can just feel for it, and then if you get your wrench on it with the transmission on, you can just get your wrench on it and just pry down, and it'll take it off. You'll loosen it, and then you can just hand loosen it with your fingers. You have enough room to get your hand in there, or at least my hands fit in there. I don't know, some of you bigger guys. So I was able to get that one that way, and then there's another one up there on the other side, so you can go around the other side. One thing I noticed about this car is it was missing that bolt. The owner did tell me that he had a new clutch put in it at some point, and also on the transmission here says 38K, so this transmission's been worked on for sure. That might have been the last time they serviced it, which would be really bad because it has 178K miles now. So hopefully that isn't true, but at some point at 38K miles, this transmission was either serviced, or this is a replacement transmission that had 38K miles on it. But yeah, so at some point they removed this transmission and they didn't put that one bolt back on, the one that goes on the right side. But yeah, so those are the 6 main bolts you have to take off. You also have to disconnect this cable here. This is your clutch cable. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Alright, so all you do to disconnect this cable, this will normally be inserted right here with this part holding it back. And as you can tell on the fork right here, there's a small hole right here that holds it back and a big hole over here. All you do is get something to put leverage on the fork, on the shift fork, and you get it to push it so it relieves the pressure on the cable. And then once you have it pushed forward, you just pull on the cable slightly and move it over to this bigger hole, and then it'll slide right through. And then on here it will be retained by a little clip. I actually put the clip back on it right here. See this metal clip? Could probably take it off. No, I can't. But this clip, it'll just hold it in. You just pull the clip out, and then you're able to pull it through that way, and then it'll just kind of hang here how I have mine. And then I just put the clip back in it so I don't lose it. And then there are just 2 more bolts. One will go down here. I already removed that one, and the other one will go over here, and I'm about to remove that one. Mine are really hard. I don't know why. They shouldn't be, but I'm gonna loosen that last one, and then I should be good to go. Alright, we are back, and it is actually yet another day doing this job. And there's a couple things I wanted to mention before we keep going with this about some of the information I gave you, I think last time I talked to you to now. I remember saying there were 6 bolts. There's 6 bolts. 6 bolts. There's actually 7 that hold on the tranny. I missed one. There's one on the right side that I forgot to mention completely. So total of 7, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I have 6 over there, and there is one that I don't have because my car didn't come with it because they're trying to save money in shipping. No. And right now, actually, the tranny is disconnected. Just like, you can't really see it, but it is, you can see that little crack in between the
like right there in between the transmission and the engine. It is just hanging there. It is no longer married to the engine. Yesterday, or 2 days ago actually, I just slightly pried on it and just got it to come off. And over here, this transmission mount is actually completely shot, and it's not connected to the transmission, to the cross member there, or yeah, that's what it's called, right? So that's a little plus, makes it a little easier for me. So I'm gonna keep the cross member in place until I get it completely off, and then I'll take it off and let it drop. So it's just a little safety thing for me, and it's probably really dark and you can't really see what I'm pointing. There you go. And also one thing I forgot to do, really simple thing actually, is remove the shifter from the inside. So all you gotta do to do this, unscrew the shifter, then you pop out this whole piece in here, just kind of pops out. And then you would unclip this. Let me see if I can do it with one hand. Alright, I can't do it, but just put that off to the side for now. And then what you do is you remove, and then you just remove these two bolts, and you're able to take this this whole shifter handle off, and then you're pretty much have nothing holding you back up here as far as the transmission goes, and you can just drop it and have no problems. And I think you actually have to take these two bolts right here and take the cover off, but I'm not 100% sure. Actually, did I just hit my lens on that? I hope I didn't. But yeah, actually you do have to take these off because this is bolted onto the transmission tunnel, and it'll actually, no, yeah, I'm just gonna do it just to be safe. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna do it. And I'll see you guys in a little bit once I get all this done, and next time I see you, I'll probably be taking the transmission off. Alright, real quick, it's not, god damn it, it's not only 2 bolts, there's 2 more over there, so it's 4 total. Just want to let you guys know before you called me a liar or anything. Okay, bye. Alright, so I went ahead and got this good old dust boot off, and the shifter off. It's over there laying down. And yeah, so I took this little thing off too, and what I could notice is that I'm leaking fluid from up here, so I'm probably going to, at some point in the near future, not today, not in this job, I'm going to replace the seals around this just to make sure we're not leaking. And it's actually kind of cool to play with this without the extended shifter on it, because the throws are so tight. It's kind of cool. It's so notchy. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna do that at some point. Like I said, not today. Good thing about this is it's pretty simple to get to, and not a I don't have to worry about the car not being able to run because of it, because I could just take those 4 bolts off real quick, replace the seals in here. I'm getting a short shifter anyways not in the near future, but sometime in the future. So it'll be something quick I could do, and I don't have to worry about my car being stuck in the driveway for however long it's been stuck, like a week now. So yeah, so now I'm able to just go ahead and pull the tranny off. Okay, so we're under the car right now, and as you might have seen, I got this pretty detached from the engine. So it is actually, so you can see you can see the flywheel. That's how far apart it is. But yeah, so this I could probably move it with my hand. It's completely off. It's just holding on by the shaft on the transmission. It's just barely on the clutch. And over here it's completely resting on the cross member. So that is why it's still on here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get my jack over here. I'm gonna put it on the heavy side of the transmission, like right here probably. And then I'm going to get rid of this cross member. I'm going to unbolt it on each side. There's one right here. You unbolt it from this side and then one on the other side. Take both of those off, drop this, and then I will go ahead and lower the jack, and at the same time with my hand just support this front part. This front part isn't too heavy, it's just the bell housing. All the heavy stuff is from here back. That's where all the gears and all the shafts and all that good stuff are. The shifter things and stuff, the shifter's up there. So as soon as I take this off and I drop it with the jack, then it'll pretty much come off. And yeah, so the way I got this to unmarry the engine is I just got a little pry bar and I just pried on both sides and wiggled and just kept prying, wiggling, and now it's finally to the point where I can get it off. And I am doing this all by myself. I wouldn't recommend it. A lot easier with two people. I don't have anybody to help me. Friends are either working or not interested in cars. Dad isn't home. It's just me and my jack. That's all I need. So me, my jack, and my camera. That's all I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll probably try to do a little time lapse of that as well. I hope the time lapses look good. I know the setup it's really hard to set up the camera under a car. But yeah, I'm doing my best, and lighting down here isn't the best either. I'm actually have some pretty good stuff right now, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and do that, and stay tuned.
Chuki beat.
Alright, so we're down here. We finally got the tranny off, and we have access to the pressure plate, the clutch, and the flywheel. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start taking all of this off. Pretty simple to take the pressure plate off. It's 6 of these 1/2-inch bolts. And then once I take the pressure plate off, the clutch will come off with it as well. It is just held on there by, you know, pressure plate applies pressure to the clutch. So those two will come out, and once I get these two out, then I will have access to the flywheel bolts, which the flywheel's this one back here that this is bolted onto. The flywheel I think has 8 bolts. I'm not sure what the size on them is yet, but I will, once I get it off and I get to that part, I'll let you guys know. And so yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing for the next, I don't know, 2-3 minutes or so. So 6 bolts, pressure plate off and clutch off, and then we'll work on the flywheel, and then we'll start putting, and that's pretty much the half-point mark of where we start putting all the new stuff onto the car. And it turns around from being a disassemble to an assembly. So yeah, gonna go ahead and do that. Stay tuned. Alright, I got the clutch and pressure plate off. They're right here. And so I got these. These are I thought they were gonna be standard size, but they're actually metric. Or maybe they're not supposed to be, but 17 mil fits perfectly in there. I mean, it's a tiny bit of play, but it's really good. So 17 mil on these. I'm gonna go ahead and get these off. Oh, and I lied to you, there's 6 of them. Alright, so we are out of the rabbit hole, and I got everything off, and I wanted to actually show you guys how bad this clutch was. I've seen worse, but it was pretty bad. Okay, so the pressure plate, you know, got some heat spots. It has some cracks right here. If you can, it's got some cracks on it, some heat spots. I'm sure I did some of this, but I'm sure the previous owner did some of it as well. That's a bad one right there. Yeah, and as you can see, some of the rivets were kind of wearing
right here, and I can show you exactly which ones they were. It was these right here. So this is the clutch itself, and I don't know if you can tell, but on this side it's worn super bad. On the inside here it's really bad. If you can tell, there's some cracking on the edges where it was just starting to break apart. And on the flywheel side, it's actually not too bad. It still has some meat to it. As you can see, all the rivets on it are still under material, if that's how it's pronounced. So yeah, there's still some depth to it. On this side, these rivets were starting to be worn into the pressure plate, and these still had some material behind them, but these were pretty bad. So that's the clutch. And now the flywheel. So the flywheel is what is connected to your crankshaft. It's what pretty much supplies the power from the engine to the transmission through the clutch. And let me try and get a little focus job in here. You see all those cracks, all those little cracks. That's pretty bad. So it's kind of funny to me to see all this, because when I purchased the car, like if you've seen the other video of what this car is, bought this car for like 500 bucks. This car, when I went to buy the car, I had to fix it in order to drive it home. And once I had already purchased it, I already had the title in hand and I was working on it, the owner of the car, or the previous owner, said it has a brand new clutch. And I was like, oh, that's cool, sweet, something less I have to do. And what boggles me is, why did he say it had a brand new clutch when it obviously didn't, after I had already paid for it? It was already mine. I knew I was gonna have to do a clutch at some point, but why would he say, oh, it has a brand new clutch? Like, there's no selling point anymore, you already sold it, you know? So I don't know, just one of those things. But luckily I have all brand new parts over there that I'm gonna be putting on the car, and that should be super cool. So I have these off. There's only one last thing I have to take off from the engine, that is the pilot bearing. I'll go down there and show you guys right now, and I'll show you the tool I'm gonna use to take it out. Alright, we're under the car, and this is actually the pilot bearing right here. And first thing I noticed actually is that the bearing part is actually broken. It's like cracked, and it's only like half of it is still in there. But yeah, this is the pilot bearing right here. It's what guides the shaft, this shaft right here from the transmission, so that it sits properly on the engine. So this is it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I'm gonna use to take it out. Just need to get outside of the car to show you it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the tool I'm gonna be using to remove the pilot bearing from the crankshaft. I'm gonna be using that with a slide hammer. So the slide hammer, this will thread onto this slide hammer, and then I'll put this on inside of the bearing. Yeah, so I'll put this inside of the bearing, and here's the brand new bearing, so I can show you guys how this works exactly. So what you do is, let's say this is the crankshaft. The bearing puller has these little ridges here where, let me screw this out a little bit. So you fit this in through the bearing like that, and then as you tighten in on this, it'll expand these out. So you screw in on it, and then right around there, when it gets tight, those ridges are gonna hold the back of the bearing, and as you slide hammer it out, it'll pull it out evenly, and you should have a free crankshaft with no bearing. Then you just tap this one in with a hammer and like a socket, and you're good to go. Also, one thing I wanted to mention before I cut this clip, new rear main seal, pretty simple. You just kind of get like a pick under the old one, take it off, and then put the new one in. Just tap it in lightly, don't break it. And yeah, it'll just preventative maintenance so you don't have a leaky crankshaft. Alright, and so here we have the brand new clutch, pressure plate, and flywheel that are going to go into the car. So yeah, just OEM parts, OEM flywheel, OEM pressure plate. I think the clutch itself is it's not a stage 1 or anything like that, but it's like a high performance little OEM upgrade. But yeah, so that's it right there. And it actually came with a new pilot bearing, a new throwout bearing, and an alignment tool, which is really nice. Didn't come with any grease to put on the shaft of the tranny or anywhere, so I had to purchase that myself. But let's see, just one thing I have to do before I start putting everything in is I'm going to, that surface, as you can see, it has like a little surface rust, and the surface on the flywheel, I'm gonna get some brake clean, spray it on it, clean it off, just because they do have a little like oil film that is put there so they don't rust while shipping. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm putting it on the car.
Chuki beat. Chuki beat.
Alright, we're back. It's been a while since you last saw me. My camera actually died. This is just a look at my old clutch and transmission cross member, and couple of things. So oh, one thing I want to say before I keep going with anything is in that last little time lapse that I showed you of me putting the clutch and flywheel on and all that good stuff, I actually had the clutch misaligned, and I noticed it when I took a look at it after the time lapse. It was a little low, so it wouldn't be sitting straight on the flywheel, and the tranny wouldn't be aligned properly. So what I did is I unbolted all of it, I lined it properly, and I bolted it back on, and now it sits on there straight. Another thing that happened off camera is actually, let's see, I already got the transmission back up. Not funny story, but little story I wanted to say about this is what I was doing, I was trying to do this smart. Sorry, I'm trying to get a hand into the picture here. Let me see. So I was, god damn it. So I was trying to do it smart, and god damn it. Here we go. So I was trying to do it smart, and I put a jack up like right here, right under the transmission there, and I was having my dad jack it up while I guided the transmission in. So that's what I was trying to do, but I kept coming into issues where I couldn't angle it enough without it wanting to fall off and stuff like that. And I kept telling my dad to lower it just a tiny bit, and he'd lower it all the way down, and it'd fall and hit my my thigh, and like it hurt. So I kept getting frustrated. So I got really impatient, frustrated, and I told him, all right, grab the jack. And I just went under it. I told him, move the jack. I went under it, and I just lifted it myself and just pushed it in. So I was sitting with my head that way, my feet that way, and I just got it on my like chest, and I just lifted it up, and I did do it. It is doable, but I cramped, and it was uncomfortable as hell. So I was able to get it up, but it did take a couple of tries of taking it up, bringing it back down, up, down, and yeah. But now it's all good. It's already all bolted back up, and the clutch cable is already realigned, or re-put in there. So now we're pretty much just in the process of putting everything back how we found it. Wiring harness, drive shaft, cross member, exhaust. Exhaust is gonna be a pain in the ass, but we'll get to it in due time. So let's see. One little thing I wanted to show you guys is the transmission mount is actually shot. I remember mentioning this earlier in the video, or earlier in this whole process. This is the transmission mount here, and this is supposed to have rubber that meets right here, and that bolts on to this. And as you can see, this part is still bolted on, and this part is completely away. So this bolts onto the transmission, this bolts onto this, which bolts onto the chassis, and which gets rid of some of your vibrations. And I found this out like 2 days ago, and when I found that out, I went ahead and bought this. This is a new mount, transmission mount, and it's solid. So there's no dampening, there's no nothing, it's just solid, keeps it in place, that's it. So I bought that because it was cheap. And technically, you know, in performance in the future, you go with either solid mounts or really stiff mounts, just to increase feedback and stuff, and blah 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 blah, but then vibrations to the cabin and blah blah blah. But I'm gonna go ahead and replace this. Pretty simple. All I have to do is unbolt this little part, and then this will bolt down like that, and then this will bolt to the tranny where these would. So yeah, gonna go ahead and do that and put this back in. All right, and we're pretty much just going to do everything that we took apart in the car, do it backwards, and that'll pretty much be be the rest couple hours of my night and maybe tomorrow. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, torque specs for the flywheel. I had some mixed facts, I guess you could say, about that. I had people saying it was like 50 to 60 or like 60 to 70, and I had people saying it was like 70 to 80. So what I did is I went right in the middle and I torqued them to 70, and I step torqued them. So I first torqued them to like 40 and then I did 70. And then for the pressure plate bolts, I did those to 24. And those I didn't step torque. I got them all to be just have pressure on it, to just like hand tight, and then I went ahead and torqued them all in the proper sequence, and yeah, so crisscross or star pattern, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, now I'm just gonna go ahead and put everything back up. Alright, so it has been a minute since that last little clip you just saw. Since then, a lot has happened. It was actually a couple weeks ago. So I got everything put back on the car. I got clutch. Well, I think last time you saw me, I was talking about getting the transmission on. So I put all the fluid back in, connected the axle, connected the drive shaft, and all the mounts and everything. So it's good to go. One thing that I changed since you last saw me is I remember mentioning that I put a solid mount in it. I put it in it, I didn't like it, and I got a polyurethane mount. So I did that like a week after I did that. So it's been a while. Since you last saw the car, I've also got it smog ready and actually got it street legal. So before it wasn't even registered. But now it is. So yeah, so in the near future there's a couple pretty cool things that are gonna go on with this car, so make sure you stay tuned. I already ordered the parts, already got them. I already bought one of them yesterday. I had to drive up to LA to get it. I ordered the other ones, and yeah, so she's getting there. She's pretty much drivable. I want to do all the liquids in the whole vehicle. I want to do diff fluid, I want to do the tranny fluid, because I just reuse the same fluid from the tranny. I want to do engine oil, filters, and all that good stuff. So I'm probably going to do that sometime here in the future. I want to fix up the dash. The dash is messed up. The lights, there's like the front headlight bracket is messed up on one side, so I want to get a new one or get one from another car and put it in and get the lights fixed up and correct. So yeah, there's a lot that's gonna be going on in a little time here. I also want to take the kit off that it has and just leave the wing. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed or learned something, or yeah, any of that. So see you guys next time. Peace.